कहते हैं वो देश जो अपनी सभ्यता और संस्कृति की मर्यादा नहीं रख सकता, उस देश का कुछ नहीं हो सकता। हाल ही में, some time ago, Govt of Telangana had just issued a notification for the demolition of OSMANIA General Hospital, and there were plans on, July 27th, Telangana government submitted a proposal in front of the Telangana High Court with announcing its decision to actually demolish the government building of OSMANIA General Hospital. This is actually a proposal to demolish one of the oldest government hospitals in India, in the princely state of Hyderabad. And it had a capacity of 1800 beds. ये इतिहास में भी बहुत ही बड़ा हॉस्पिटल है. See, there are plenty of public interest litigations. Intact, its representative Anudara Reddy Madam of Hyderabad have all been trying to make sure that government does not do its decision, government does not give up its duty and its responsibility to protect the heritage and its culture, okay, and representatives of its culture. The state, kaha jata hai, one of the social activists said that the state cannot actually afford the luxury of forgetting that the destruction of heritage buildings will rob its people of the essence of their identity, the essence of and deprive the city of its sense of uniqueness. In fact, OSMANIA General Hospital, काफ़ी लोगों को पता भी नहीं है that it's actually somewhat special. There are many medical breakthroughs which have come through this hospital. In fact, in the mid-19th century, Hyderabad, the princely state of Hyderabad, was the hotbed of medical activity, medical study, medical schools. In fact, Hyderabad had Hyderabad Medical School. So, आज का जो उस्मानिया जनरल हॉस्पिटल, the heritage building which has been proposed to be destroyed, was actually built on a place which was previously holding something called the Afzalganj Hospital. It was constructed in 1866, 1867 में बनाया गया था, and it served as a teaching hospital from there. And I'll tell you one of the unique innovations of this place. Nobel laureate Sir Ronald Ross actually discovered malaria in this place at the Hyderabad Medical School, in this very place. On the other hand, Afzalganj Hospital contributed to a major breakthrough in anesthesia. In fact, Dr. Edward Laurie, who was the personal physician and man responsible for the first international chloroform trials, backed by the 6th Nizam Mir Muhammad Ali Khan Sahab, and all these chloroform trials actually took place in this very hospital, OSMANIA General Hospital, between 1888 and 1891. In fact, Chloroform Commission conducted experiments to study the effectiveness of chloroform as an anesthetic to treat patients, and today you know that modern medicine is completely incomplete without chloroform, and that very chloroform trials identity that chloroform can be a very good important anesthetic was one of the major breakthroughs coming from this very hospital. In fact, at that time the Chloroform Commission report was even published on the Lancet magazine. Sathi, and look, this hospital is on the banks of Musi River. When Hyderabad had, during the 6th Nizam's period, when there was the great Musi floods, Afzalganj Hospital flooded and more than 15,000 people actually lost their lives. But the beauty is, even today, if you go to this hospital's compound, there is a tree outside in the compound in 1908. This tree in 1908 of this OSMANIA General Hospital actually protected 150 people. In fact, later Nizam Sahab even had a little board put on this. The medicine flourished in this place. In 1911, when the last Nizam who surrendered to India took over the state of Nizam, bubonic plague hit Hyderabad, and the epidemic again took several lives of the people. Usman Ali Khan is said to have heralded a completely new wave of modern infrastructure that would better equip the city of Hyderabad. And a series of buildings were built. Most of these are today the heritage buildings of Hyderabad. So in 1912, Hyderabad got its first urban development authority, the Hyderabad City Improvement Board, CIB, and as usual has a counter to the Musi River. Even before M. Vishweshwaraya became a politician and a very popular man, when Vishweshwaraya was an engineer, Nizam Sahab got the Usman Sagar and Himayat Sagar constructed. Many heritage structures including Osmania General Hospital, the High Court of Hyderabad, Government City College, Kachigoda Railway Station, the Osmania University main campus. All of these were built during last Nizam's period. In fact, these were part of the Hyderabad skyline. These identified Hyderabad. Ye tha Hyderabad. I mean, in 1919, Nizam even commissioned the British architect. In fact, Winston Esch was actually the guy who designed this hospital building, the very building which is being demolished, or which has been proposed to be demolished by the government of Telangana. S was known as the pioneer of the Indo-Saracenic style. It had a mix of the European, Gothic, Westminster English, as well as the Mughal dome style structures, everything put together. A beautiful synchrony of Mughal architecture and the British style of architecture. The architecture was one of the best in terms of that period. In fact, this very guy called Ash was the guy who was involved in the construction of the Victoria Memorial of Calcutta. So you'll see a lot of influence of the Victoria Memorial in this particular building, which is being suggested to be destroyed. In a report, Ash writer and lecturer G.H.R. Tilson calls this particular style of this particular building as an attempt by the British architects in India, beginning in the last third of the 19th century, to develop a style which reflected local architectural excellence, heritage, so to present an Indian imagery of the buildings of the Raj. In fact, if you see by 1925, this hospital reportedly cost 20 lakhs to build in 1925. This very building which the government is planning to demolish, 20 लाख खर्च हुए थे इसको बनाने में. सबसे बड़ा था. The main building is one of the most beautiful things. The 3-storied building has a jack arch roof that is supported by iron girders, and is said to be one of the best and earliest examples of reinforced cement concrete usage in India. I mean, look, there are many attempts which were done, like to use Mughal modeling with British perfection. 1,168 beds capacity building, this one. Currently includes a nursing school and a dental college. It is also one of the only tertiary hospitals in the old city that poor from nearby districts actually access this place. The old city of Hyderabad has a very good, very strong population density. सन 1920 में 2020 में, in July 2020, this block was actually flooded with Musi River. There was continuous rains left the wards in some of the heritage building filled with rivers up to knee deep. And eventually it was sealed and vacated after the heritage. One part of the heritage building was sealed and vacated. And in the last 10 years, Osmania Medical College students who were learning and working in this particular building have been asking for continuous repair and maintenance. In fact, the only thing which has been consistent about this hospital is the quality of doctors it has produced and the amount of patients who have benefited from this. Otherwise, government has done really nothing till date. At this point, the government of Telangana and its Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao want this entire building to be demolished, whereas many conservationist historians have been consistently fighting to restore its old glory, do the fixes and everything. Now, currently the structure is graded as Grade 2B heritage structure under the Hyderabad Metropolitan Development Authority and is protected under the Hyderabad heritage regulations of HMDA. So even if the government itself goes through to demolish this, they themselves will be violating the heritage structure rule. 2015, 2019, 2015 and 2019, INTAC, Indian National Trust for Art, Culture and Heritage, even published a report that the actual, even as of 2019, the building was itself in a very good condition, structurally stable condition, and did not pose a threat to its occupants. Yes, see, it's a heritage building. It needs repairs. That's it. It needs repairs and fixes, not demolition. Even in November 2019, the Archaeology Department of Government of Telangana and also the Aga Khan Trust clearly stated that this building is structurally very stable and that building should be restored to its original heritage and past glory. When you consider all these things as a consideration, it would be wrong on the part of state of Telangana to destroy and demolish this building just for the sake of modernization or just for the sake of rapid unscientific intervention. In fact, as Anuradha Reddy of INTAC famously recently quoted, the heritage building is actually safe, at least for another century as per the study. It does require some repairs. The way the building was built shows that it was well planned. Clear ventilation, large corridors, proper outlets of water, everything was perfect. But the entire damage, flooding, everything has happened because of unscientific usage and unscientific alterations which were done. And जैसे कहते हैं, heritage, culture and history are important. And buildings like these are the icons of the past of Hyderabad. In the stretch for modernization, in the stretch for mismanagement, and it's in the stretch for the political selfishness of land, if these heritage buildings are destroyed one after the other, the very idea that Hyderabad is a 400-year-old city will die sooner or later. हम ये भी भूल जाएंगे कि हैदराबाद कभी 400 साल पुराना एक शहर था और वहाँ पे एक अस्पताल था. And you know what, as somebody who is associated with history, what really amuses me is even one of the most racist, most controversial Governor General of India and Viceroy of India, Lord Curzon, took every effort possible on his side, and even somebody like Curzon believed that heritage of a nation, particularly of a culturally rich nation like India, must be protected. That is what made Curzon even pass the Ancient Monuments Act 1904. एक गोरा लंगूर हमारा इतिहास और हमारे इतिहास का एक महत्वपूर्णता समझता था. A viceroy realized the importance of our history. Somehow our governments and our politicians are not. I don't know what will make them understand that heritage and culture is like your identity. It's like your mother. जब बूढ़ा हो जाते हैं ना तो उनका ख्याल रखा जाता है, मारा नहीं जाता.